Believe it or not, it is possible to feel negative about positive. There are many ways that a person can form a negative association with positivity. Many things that a person can experience with positivity that are traumatizing. If you or someone you know is one of these people who has positivity trauma, it can feel like you or they are up against a wall regarding what to do about it. Which is why, in today's video, I'm going to explain how to heal positivity trauma. If you have positivity trauma, positivity will in and of itself be a trigger for you. So all of those positive things that should make someone feel better make you feel worse. Things like positive slogans or phrases, positive people, gratitude practices, compliments, positive languaging, positivity exercises, reassurance, inspirational content, and silver linings. So, will situations where you're expected in any way to be positive? You've been led to believe that something is wrong with you because of this. But actually, your brain and body are just reacting the exact way that they should given what you've experienced. Your negativity or cynicism is actually a survival mechanism. It is your bodyguard, so to speak. A strategy to keep you away from all the painful things that you now associate with positivity. To learn about this, you can watch my video titled, "Do You Positivity Boycott?" But what should you do if you have this positivity trauma? After all, it is also painful to keep yourself in negativity all the time because of how unsafe positivity was. 1. The most important thing to do is to recognize what is happening for what it is and stop telling yourself painful stories about yourself. What I mean by this is when you encounter positivity, it causes you to feel pain. And when it comes to shifting your mindset to be more positive or do positivity exercises, you procrastinate and approach it like someone is dragging you to go get a root canal. It hurts to have to do it. You probably have a whole bunch of negative stories that you love telling yourself about yourself when this happens. Things like, something is seriously wrong with me. Maybe I'm addicted to the negative. I'm just a negative person. It's my fault I can't be happy. Look at me. I'm not grateful for what I have, so the universe is going to take it away from me, etc. Stop it. No, I mean stop it. These stories are not reality at all. What is happening and what you need to remind yourself is happening is that your positivity trauma has been activated. When you have trauma relative to positivity, it means, metaphorically speaking, you have been bitten by the shark called toxic positivity when you tried to go for a swim. As a result, you have learned that a positive slogan means that you're going to be neglected or silenced because they were used to negate the way that you feel. A compliment means loss because you've experienced people taking it back. Reassurance means a bad thing's going to happen because you've experienced too much false reassurance. A positive focus exercise means that you're going to get blindsided by something bad. Positive language means you're about to be erased because it was used to completely cover over your reality and the truth of what you thought and how you felt about it. Pavlov, a Russian physiologist, proved that dogs could be trained to associate a neural stimulus, ringing a bell, by the way, with food, and that eventually they would start salivating at the sound of the bell alone. Whoa. This showed that behavioral responses are, oh my gosh, learned through association. Okay, it's no different with what you're experiencing. Positivity, negative association, negative response. You can halt the trigger spiral just by naming what is happening objectively. For example, I know what is happening. I am triggered by the positive. My nervous system is trying to protect me from, and then fill in the blank with specifically what the negative consequence of the positive thing that you're encountering would be. Now, don't expect this to be immediately easy. This is going to take some reflection to become conscious of what it is in the moment. For example, say I pass someone wearing a t-shirt that says, "Life is good." I feel myself becoming bitter and hateful towards that person who's wearing that freaking t-shirt. I think hard about what bad thing this might mean to me. Maybe the answer is that t-shirt totally invalidates the fact that I haven't had a good life at all. It makes me feel totally alone in my pain and like the odd one out. And I feel extreme envy towards people who have had a good enough life to feel that way. And I feel expected to be positive and happy no matter what the hell I've been through. I would say, I know what is happening. I am triggered by the positive. My nervous system is trying to protect me from the pain of being invalidated, being alone in pain, feeling envious, and feeling the pressure and pain of having to put on a facade. 2. Prioritize feeling safe, not feeling positive. Prioritize the downregulation of your nervous system. So many people who struggle with positivity trauma think that the problem is not being positive or not being able to resource the positive, when it actually isn't the problem. It's that you're stuck in fight or flight mode, and you don't even notice that this is actually the issue. The problem is, you don't feel safe. Trauma makes you not feel safe. Have you noticed that when you start to feel safe, suddenly you start to feel more positive naturally? You don't have to freaking try at it. Well, if you don't feel safe in a given moment, you will not be able to feel positive or notice positive things. In fact, you will be traumatizing yourself because you're going to be gaslighting yourself. One part of you is going to be putting immense pressure on you to feel positive, as if you should feel that way, or at least be able to make yourself feel that way. And the rest of you will be rejecting the positive. Why? Because it's a complete freaking contradiction to what's actually happening in your nervous system. You need a calm nervous system that is registering that it is safe in order for you to be able to register and let the positive in. Soothe the body into feeling calmer. Confirm that you are safe. It is far more effective when you are triggered to soak your face in cold water, to massage your ears, to go under the covers, to create vibrations in your neck or body by humming and singing and gargling, to scan the room and name things, to cross your arms over your chest and tap your shoulders in an alternating left and right rhythm, to gently rock yourself, to listen to soothing sounds or deliberately go smell scents that make you feel safe, to follow along with a guided meditation, to do breathing practices that specifically pull you out of fight or flight mode, and/or to focus on the ways you are safe than it is to try to be positive or do positivity exercises. If you are struggling with positivity, ask yourself, why don't I feel safe right now? And based on the answers you receive, take the action that directly resolves the unsafety. The nervous system responds so much more to physiological safety cues than it ever does to psychological effort to think differently, especially when thinking positive for you is already something that registers to you as a threat. Toxic positivity demands that you use your mind to ignore your body. You are looking to do the opposite, to use your body to tell your mind that you are safe. Whatever you do, if you have positivity trauma, don't try to positive your way out of feeling or being unsafe, which you know you love to try to do. 3. The healing experience is for the negative, really just your unfiltered honesty, to be fully listened to, heard, understood, received, validated, and responded to you in an attuned way. Your pain needs to be witnessed and responded to you in an attuned way in order to reverse the isolation, the neglect, and yes, the abuse that you've lived in for so long. It is what will pull you out of survival mode, and it is what will pull you out of shame for your emotions. You can no longer be with people where you need to suppress the pain to help them to avoid discomfort. This means be around people, especially friends, who value radical honesty and validation over good vibes and positivity. Be around people where they do not need or expect you to remain positive, no matter how challenging or difficult or truly crappy a situation is. Especially avoid people who use positivity to bypass and spiritual bypassers. You need spaces where heavy, painful thoughts and emotions are treated as important information, not defects or personal failings of yours. You need people and places that truly don't put pressure on you to be okay. You need people who get that you never should feel happy. Happiness is an internal signal, and if it isn't going off, the conditions are not present for it to be going off. There are people and places where it's okay to not be okay. Not that no one responds in an attuned, compassionate way to your pain because they think it's okay that you're hurting. No, rather people and places where your feelings and current emotional state are not treated like they're the problem, pushed away or run away from. They can be there and be part of the place and part of the relationship. 4. Remember that the goal is to become total, not become a positive person. To be positive is to be partial. To be negative is also to be partial. To be truly grounded in reality and truth is to be able to see, recognize, feel, and know all of what is. A person who is total can see the negative and the positive. A person who is total can feel the full range, joy and sadness, elation and anger, excitement and disappointment. One practice that can help with this is from model and consciousness. to be able to hold seemingly contradictory truths and feeling states, and for both to be valid rather than for either to cancel the other out. For example, I am not enjoying being here, and there are things that are lovely. Grief and enjoyment are not mutually exclusive. You don't have to finish being sad before you're allowed to enjoy a movie. To understand more about this, you can watch my video titled, "And Consciousness, the Modern-Day Replacement for the Middle Way." Just don't do this exercise if you are using positives to tone down or try to cancel out negatives. 5. If you do any exercises around positivity, do it for your health. Think of positivity exercises no differently than you think of health food or drinking water. Positivity can no longer be a social demand. It must be a personal tool that you can use because you have decided that it does something for you. Just like eating healthy food is not about hiding the bad stuff, it's just about adding something that supports your system. Any of these positive exercises are not about hiding or stuffing down or canceling out the bad stuff. They're just about adding something that supports your physical system while you navigate the bad stuff. 6. Microdose positivity in ways that feel safe. Imagine it like this. If you were traumatized by a shark attack, you wouldn't go swimming in the deep ocean with great whites. You would need safe water experiences. Some ways to do this relative to positivity are to drop trying to be happy and positive. Instead, make your aim to feel relief or comfort or a moment of enjoyment. Find what feels good in little safe ways. Maybe even not including people in this to start. Things like seeing if you can really let yourself enjoy the cup of tea or the thing that you're eating. Things like fully feeling the sunset. Things like noticing and naming the things that you like while you're driving. The deep red color of that car, the skyline, how that woman is singing at the top of her lungs in the car next door, the song that's playing on the radio, the fabric of the outfit that you're wearing, etc. When positivity has been used against you in an abusive way, your brain treats good feelings like a danger, and you experience a threat response. You're looking to prove to your being that things are different now. A good feeling or noticing a good thing does not come with a terrible consequence. The most common form that toxic positivity comes in fact verbal. So start with positivity in a nonverbal form. For example, rather than affirmations, focus on noticing beautiful things. Things that just exist, whether you recognize them or not, and that are not putting pressure on you to appreciate them or demanding that you notice them even. You might find that to start, it is safer to experience good-feeling things when engaged with the positive when you're alone. Why? Because you don't have to put on a happy facade to make someone else feel comfortable. I'll give you an example. A forest is full of things that cause you to feel pleasure, but if no one's there, this allows you to experience those things without having to put on a performance of joy, and without fearing the consequences that you associate with other people seeing you feel good in any way. Or, for example, engaging in a hobby like gardening or painting or whatever. This creates kind of a flow state. Now, this quiet internal positivity doesn't involve another person, so there is none of that complexity or pressure that is added. Trying to be happy or doing a positive focus exercise may feel like a 10 out of 10 dangerous thing. So, do something that's more like a 3 out of 10 for you. Maybe that's aiming to feel an internal exhale, or putting your headphones on and really being present with all of your senses to a song that you think is really, really good. Feeling a micro moment of safe positivity doesn't mean that what is hurting you is somehow erased, or that your trauma isn't present and real and in need of something still. 7. Do parts work relative to the parts of you that are involved in this painful relationship with positivity? You may have even more parts, but when people have been traumatized by toxic positivity, they are definitely struggling with 4 primary parts. Part 1 is the part of you that was damaged by positivity, the one that was harmed by it in a list of specific ways. Part 2 is the part that is trying to protect you by refusing to say or do anything positive or put any energy into improving your mood because that is exactly what harmed you. Part 3 is the part of you that puts the pressure on you to feel okay and be okay, no matter what is happening to you or in this life. This is the internalized aspect of the person who harmed you with toxic positivity. And part 4 is the part of you that is desperate for any relief at all, no matter if that's through positive focus or anything else positive. This one is usually drowning in negativity and is desperate to be positive and do positive anything to feel better, but is being prevented by the other ones from doing so. To learn how to do parts work, you can watch my video titled, "What is Parts Work and How to Do Parts Work?" There are also several therapy modalities that use the tool of parts work. Many completion process facilitators do. Voice dialogue does, internal family systems does, schema therapy does, Gestalt therapy does. So if it feels right to get help doing it, you can find a therapist who specializes in one such modality and go to them with the intention of working with these aspects of yourself. Just make sure that your therapist does not employ toxic positivity and makes you feel like you can trust that they have a very big container for and are not resistant to painful emotional states. It would shock you, or maybe it wouldn't, how many therapists get into the role of being a therapist because they are, in fact, resistant to negative emotion and want to find ways that shut down emotions quick. 8. Speaking of parts work, if you do any positivity exercises and it feels like it's triggering any part of yourself or like it's against any part of yourself, that part of yourself that is triggered or feels like the exercise is against it needs to be directly tended to with care. Aside from parts work, which you can do with this aspect of you, an effective exercise is to close your eyes as if in meditation and ask to see this aspect of you and respond to that part of you in an attuned way so as to resolve the pain that that aspect of you is in, as well as to meet its needs. For example, let's say that you see a part of yourself that is screaming and banging its head against the wall. You may intuitively get that this part of you is absolutely desperate. What is this part desperate for? Maybe it's for someone to go over and to grab them and to hold them while they're screaming, and to really feel and see the depth of their despair that they are in, and to figure out why they are in that level of despair, and then to rescue them out of it in some way, whatever way makes sense. So, you would go through that whole process as if you were doing an intuitively guided visualization. If seeing things in the mind's eye does not come naturally to you, you will notice that your knowing is still intact. So, you can feel and know your way through the process even if you don't get really great visual images. 9. It can be very healing to create a container for you to be unapologetically negative, especially if part of your trauma involved always having to keep a happy face. This is specific spaces or places or times of the day or specific journal even for what isn't positive to be there. Negative thoughts, what feels bad, worries, things that worry and are painful, everything that's too much. And remember, feeling better is not actually about being positive. It's about becoming aware of the emotion you're feeling, figuring out why this emotion is present, what it is trying to tell you, what needs it implies, and then responding to that information in an attuned, compassionate way. 10. Set boundaries when it comes to toxic positivity. But you need to remember, people who use toxic positivity, they feel very threatened by negative emotions. Their pushback against your negative emotions is about their discomfort with the way they feel, their own emotions. At the end of the day, it isn't even about you. But it's actually re-traumatizing for you to be around toxic positivity. And toxic positivity isn't healthy for anyone, by the way. This means if someone is meeting you with toxic positivity, rather than go into a self-doubt, maybe a shame spiral, you have two choices. The first is to set an internal boundary. This is a boundary that you have inside and that you act in alignment with, but you don't necessarily express externally. I'll give you one example. Let's say that you realize that the other person does not have the capacity to hold space for pain. Well, stop bringing your deeper truths to them, the vulnerable ones that contain your pain. The second is to set an external boundary. This is a boundary that you do express externally. Usually, this is done in the form of something that you say to them. Something like, "Hold on. Before we look for a solution or a bright side, I need us to stay right here for a moment. This part, the part where it hurts, this is what I need you to see." Or, "I don't have the energy to perform a good mood today. I'm honoring my grief right now, and that's what my health requires." Or, "I don't have the emotional bandwidth to be positive about this right now. I need to sit with the reality of what happened." Or, "I'm not looking for a silver lining right now. I just need you to hear that this is horrible for me." Or, "When you try to reframe things as growth opportunities, it actually makes me feel less safe talking to you." Or, You are making me feel like rather than really trying to understand me, you are just needing me to fix my mood. Or, for me, this is a very painful experience, and searching for the lesson in it feels abusive right now. Or, we have different ways of looking at this, and right now your way of looking at this is making me feel worse. So I'm going to go step away from this conversation so I can process things on my own. You can also set the boundary before you speak if you're entering into a conversation where you know you'll be vulnerable and don't want to be met with toxic positivity. This defines the container for the conversation before the other person has a chance to completely destroy it. For example, you could say, I really need to just be able to be totally unfiltered and honest about what's happening for me, but I'm afraid for it to be reframed or to be given advice for how to feel different than how I feel. Then don't proceed unless the other person gives you some indication that they're not going to do that. And you're safe to share. Remember something, a silver lining is a personal resource. This means that you are the only person that gets to decide if a situation has a silver lining. And the only person who gets to decide if it counts for anything is you. I'm going to give you an analogy that is really helpful when it comes to responding to your emotions and knowing whether someone else is doing the right thing with your emotions or not. Imagine that your emotions are visitors in the space, like a house. Your emotions are telling you about that house. When the focus is on fixing the emotions, the approach is actually to get the emotions to go away or to shut up. This could be compared to either telling your guests to shut up or evicting them from the house. To the opposite, when you treat your negative emotions as honored guests with valuable information, you're essentially asking them what they need for the house to be more of what's wanted and needed. And this, in turn, causes them to give different feedback/share different information. Now, this is what you experience as a change in the way you feel, towards feeling better. Feeling happy is not a goalpost or level of the game of life to reach. It is an internal signal about what is happening within you. You are not failing if that signal is not happening. It simply means the conditions are not there for there to be that signal. And given what you have experienced, you have every right to be unpositive forever. You do not ever have to be positive or develop a good relationship with positivity. Have a good week.